Well, it's been a hot minute since I talked about Starfinder and the factions that you can find within the universe itself. I did a video on this a while ago. It is horribly out of date and my energy is very low. I originally only talked about 9 of the Starfinder factions. However, there are 17 within at least the core rulebook alone. And my patrons voted on this video for September, so if you want to get a say in what I produce next, come join us over on Patreon. And getting us started today, first will be Abadarcorp, everyone's favorite corporate religious organization. Much better than the Cult of the Devourer, which we will get to. Abadarcorp does not want to destroy everything, they just want you to consume. And they want you to get rich. What you may find surprising about Abadarcorp is many of the staff, the employees, they are actually secular. Many of the upper executives, upper management, the C-suite levels, they are considered priests within the Abadarcorp, but much of the lower peons, the working class, the entry-level jobs, they are largely secular. Abadarcorp's main headquarters can be found inside Absalom Station, and the company, the religion itself, they promote mercantilism, exploration, general advancing of society. They have a rather aggressive monopoly when it comes to the Pact worlds. If you bought a product within the Pact worlds, Abadarcorp either made it or had a hand in its creation. Now, the executives, when they go on business trips, when they go on religious pilgrimages, they have specific suits that they are supposed to wear. These can be made from platinum, they can be made from silver or gold, and they look pretty baller. The Android Abolitionist Front, the AAF, they are an android freedom group. Throughout most of the Pact worlds, androids got a raw deal. Androids were not treated as first-class citizens. Many of the laws kept them down. Things have gotten better for them within the core of the Pact worlds, but the fringes, there's still some problems there. One of the main reasons things have gotten better for androids is because of the AAF. At first, only robots and androids were able to actually become members. However, the organization has evolved and they allow anyone who wants to support the android cause to join the ranks. There are even rumors of a secret headquarters hidden in the diaspora, a asteroid belt within the Pact worlds. It is said that in one of these asteroids lies the headquarters to the AAF. Now, there is one group that runs counter to the AAF, and that would be the Aspis Consortium, or the Aspis Consortium, depending on how you pronounce the S. They are a criminal organization that operates mainly within the Pact worlds. However, you will find that they have operations within the Vesperium as well. This group's goal is power and money above all else. They have actually contributed to the android slavery problem within the Pact worlds, being that they manufacture androids for slave labor. They also have their hand in drugs, gun running, likely illegal gambling, and anything else that you can think of that would be illegal and makes money. I like to think of them as the space mafia. If cyberpunk is more your style, then maybe the Augmented are a faction that will appeal to you. Their whole vibe, their whole way of being says that augmentation and genetic enhancement, they are the way of the future. Now, Starfinder doesn't really have a humanity mechanic unlike Shadowrun or Cyberpunk Red. There are also options when it comes to Magitech. You will find that a large amount of technomancers are also drawn to this particular group. The main heart for the Augmented can be found on Verces. There is one group we need to talk about who was not happy at all with the signing of the Pact Worlds Alliance. They never wanted to see peace between the Pact Worlds and the Vesperium. They were happy with the superiority that they believed their planet had, and that would be Eox. I'm specifically referring to the Corpse Fleet. Now, the Bone Sages of Eox, they have officially severed all ties with the Corpse Fleet, and they are considered independent operators. But their ultimate goal is to shatter the peace of the Pact Worlds and to restore Eox to its former glory. One thing that is interesting about the Corpse Fleet, outside of the fact that it's an undead fleet, a whole armada, is the fact that when the swarm invaded the Pact worlds, the corpse fleet did not return to defend the Pact worlds and Eox. They have been a thorn in the Stewards' side for hundreds of years. Kids, listen up. Papa Maple needs to talk to you about evil cults. Cults are bad, okay? So if you see anybody trying to get you to join the organization, whether it be with free candy, Kool-Aid, or the glorious destruction of civilization and existence as we know it, just say no. The cult of the Devourer, they want to destroy civilization and existence as we know it because not existing is somehow better than existing. There are multiple sects that operate not only within the Pact worlds, but the Vesperium, near space, other planets as well. So be good, be vigilant, and don't join any cults. There are other cults that can be found as well, one specifically referring to the Elder Mythos, and this is more that H.P. Lovecraft vibe that exists within Starfinder. Cthulhu does technically exist within Starfinder. He is, however, located in the outer reaches, the furthest distance away in space, the place where Zon-Kuthon went for a visit. We don't have a ton of information about these elder gods, but if it's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments below. The free captains are pirates, but they are pirates with a code. They operate under a sense of honor. Yes, they will steal your stuff, but they're not going to just kill you for it unless you put up a good fight. Once you've made a deal with a free captain, they honor their word. There are many worshippers of Desna within this group. Now, the Golden League is a crime family, a crime syndicate that has roots going all the way back to Golarion, originating from the continent of Tian Sha. They have been able to survive for these millennia because no one specific crime family runs the organization. If one gets taken down, the rest are still able to cooperate. And many of these families, they employ heavily augmented and heavily tattooed individuals for their own protection and carrying out of activities. They also employ assassins called Jun. You really don't want to run into one of those. This brings us to the Hellknights. And although they get their inspirations from hell, that's why their armor designs are so pointy, they are not an organization that is inherently evil. Everything must be neat and orderly. As long as order is maintained, it doesn't matter to the Hellknights if they're the ones keeping it there or if somebody else is doing it. They just want things to be a certain way. It is also possible to join the Hellknights, however, that process is quite difficult. One of the final tests for a Hellknight initiate is to go to hell and kill a demon. And since we're on the topic of military organizations, that would bring us to the Knights of Golarion. They want to restore Golarion to its former glory. Now, this is a bit of a problem because the planet Golarion has disappeared and no one knows where it went. It was lost during the gap. The Knights of Golarion, they work with the Church of Iomedae, however, they are not a branch of Iomedae. Now, the Pact Worlds is considered a faction, and the reason that I say this is because it is a collection of planets, a collection of governments who have signed an agreement, and they are currently working together to bring about the betterment of the galaxy, at least their own portion of it. One of my favorite factions, my favorite groups, is the Skyfire Legion. Previously known as the Dragon Legion, their headquarters is on Triaxis. It's only recently that the Skyfire Legion has opened up its membership to all species, and as a result, much of its membership is still Reforians. They also had a bit of a branding problem because the Dragon Legion, they weren't very nice. Some of the best pilots in the Pact Worlds are members of the Skyfire Legion. Many of the pilots will fly in pairs, in twos, and they have the benefit of a mental link, a psychic connection, which allows them to communicate on just a much deeper level, much more effectively. This is why they make good pilots. Starfinder Society is much like Starfleet Command when it comes to Star Trek. They are explorers. They go out among the stars. They collect data on plants and animals living on the planets they find. They fund a lot of space exploration and missions to go out into the deeper parts of space, hopefully so that the Starfinders can bring back data to their massive data storehouses. They're also the biggest organization that's actually trying to figure out what happened in the gap, although most believe trying to figure out what happened is kind of a lost cause. If Starfinder Society is Starfleet Command, then the Stewards, they are the UN. They are the Pact World's peacekeepers. They are the military force that comes to aid when a force invades. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. I make a rhyme every time! The Stewards also have a main base within Absalom Station as well, and they're a pretty interesting faction group. The scope of the Stewards is actually quite limited in the cosmic scale. They pretty much only operate within the Pact worlds. One group that I haven't talked about before is called the Unseen. Not much is known about them, except for the incoherent ramblings of tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. The Unseen is actually a name that wasn't self-applied, it was given by those who believe the conspiracy. It is believed that the Unseen are primarily 3 different types of creatures. That would be the Greys, the Reptoids, and the Dyspiskians. The Dyspiskian is a fungus that infects the host's brain and nervous system, allowing them to control it for their own nefarious purposes. The Greys are a humanoid species which is just out of sync with the material plane, so they phase in and out of existence. They also have a bad habit for abducting people. The Reptoids are pretty self-explanatory. Space lizards who can shapeshift into other creatures or other beings. It is believed that the Unseen have infiltrated the highest levels of government, have infiltrated many of the corporations operating within the Pact worlds, as well as other military organizations. The Xenowardens, they are tree-hugging hippies. They believe that any planet with plants on it or life in general is precious and needs to be protected. They don't want to see corporations come to these new worlds, these new planets, exploiting the resources, polluting the air and the rivers and the waters for maximum profit. In fact, they just don't want to see any of these corporations make money by polluting on anything. Imagine a universe with corporate responsibility. Daunting. The Xenowardens are not a group without their own significant political influence. They do have a seat on the Pact Worlds Council, so they do get to push their agenda in some ways. Now, if you'd like to see any of the factions that I've talked about in greater detail, click on this playlist on your screen now. Thank you to all of my patrons for your ongoing support. My name's Nathaniel. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.